All right, everyone. In this video, I'm going to go over a general overview of options, why I actually sold some covered calls recently, and some possibilities on what you could do to possibly gain some extra premiums or extra monthly payments. So first, what is a call option? A call option is when you have the option, that means you don't have to, but you could if you want to buy 100 shares of stock at a certain price, which is called the strike price, by a certain date. So let's say you don't have a lot of money, say you have a few $100s, but you're pretty sure a stock is going to go up quite a bit. And let's say you have $200. The buy price of the option will be 0.2. So that'll be $20 to buy one option, to buy 100 shares. With the $200, you can buy 10 of those options. So 2,000 total shares. I'm sorry, 10 will be 1,000 total shares. And let's say the stock goes up $5 more than what the strike price was. You'd be 5 times $1,000, 1,000 shares, you'd be up $5,000 for only $200 of capital. So you can make dramatic increases in money by buying call options. However, it is very risky, as I'll go over soon. And I think there's a better way to make it less risky. So if you buy a call option, and I'm going to go over some examples of what that means in terms of the pricing and whatnot, it's good if you think a stock will go up a lot and you don't have a lot of capital. It is very risky because these call options could expire worthless, and I'll go over how that could happen. Essentially, if the price of the stock at the expiration date when the option is about to be done, if that price of the stock is lower than what you bought the option in, then it's worthless, because let's say you bought an option for $100 and the current price is 95. I wouldn't want to buy that stock for $100 when I could just buy it in the marketplace for 95 for my brokerage. So some call options could expire worthless, and quite a few are actually worthless at expiration. Selling call options for a stock that you don't own was the opposite way. If you sell the call option, you're going to get the money that the buyer of the call option will be providing to buy the options. So you do get a premium from the call buyer, but it could be very risky as the stock could go way up in price. That's just, again, if you don't own the stock. So let's say you sold an option for a stock of $100 and it went up to $105. You are up for giving that $5 extra per share to the call buyer. Now there's another example which is less risky. This is called a covered call. This is when you actually own the 100 shares of the stock that you are selling the call option to. And this is what I did for a few of my stocks recently. Yeah, it's called a covered call because it's covered by the shares that you already own. You will still get the premium from the call buyer. It limits your upside if the stock goes over the strike price. So let's say you own 100 shares of the stock that's currently at $90. You sell a call for $95, and the stock ends up going to $120. You would have to then sell your 100 shares at $95, where you sold the option at. You're not going to get the benefit from 95 all the way to 120. However, you do get a little bit of the upside if you make that price a little bit higher. So let's go over some examples of how these options could work. This is Realty Income. I'll take a symbol L. Notice the current price is at $61.53. We're only going to look at selling options here. I put different strike prices over here and different trade dates. Typically, it goes by the third Friday of each month. So if we look at July 17th and August 21st. I put strike prices. These are what the option of the call could go at, pretty close to what the current price is. The 61.63 is the price. Let's say you are selling a call option for $65. That's only $3.50 higher than what the current price of the stock is. The bid is $1.25 and the ask is $1.60. The last trade was in between it at $1.40. Essentially, if you want to sell the option, you could always sell it at the bid price, so $1.25. Multiply these by 100, 1.25 times 100. You'd get $125 in premium for it. Let's say the stock by July 17th, let's say it goes So $64, something lower than that. You still keep the $125 in premium, and the trade is over. Okay. Let's say the stock went up to $70 though. At that point, you'd have to sell your stock at 65. So you would gain about $3.50 times the 100 shares that you have to sell, but you won't get the increase from 65 to 70. Essentially, since you're getting $1.25 for this option, you could do 65 plus another $1.25. Which means that if the stock actually goes up higher than 66.25 by next July 17th, you would actually be losing on the trade in terms of just holding on to the stocks itself. You'd still show a net benefit because you're going to get the increase from 61 to 65 plus the premium, but you would have been better off if you held the stock and went up higher than that. $1.25 for that one. Let's say you make the strike price even higher, 67.50. There's a lesser chance that that's actually going to be exercised because it's farther away from the current price. You'd only get 70 cents per share times 100. That'll be a $70 premium that you'd collect. At $70 a share strike price, you get between 15 to 55 cents. So you notice that it does go lower in terms of premium as the share price goes up. If you extend the options further out, so it's just say July, instead of July, do August 21st. If I do it $65, instead of $1.25, you could get over double that, $2.60. Times that by 100, $260 in premium right there. 67.50, $1.70, and 70 is at 70. The actual trade that I made was this one, and I made it about 4 days ago. We'll get a history for it. And I sold it pretty close to 70. I think I sold it at 60 cents. So I made $60 in premium for it. And currently I'm, in a way, hoping that Realty doesn't go up past $70 a share, because then I'll actually lose extra money on it. So these were the orders that I made. The Realty income right here, I own 102 shares. So if the price goes over $70, I'll have to sell 100 shares at $70, which will be $7,000 back into my brokerage account. I could then rebuy more shares at Realty, possibly at a higher price than 70, or put it into a different company. So I sold the call on Main Street Capital. Sold the call on Realty income right here. $70 expiration strike price, meaning that if it goes past 70, then I'll have to actually sell the shares. This if I keep it all the way to expiration. It gets a little more complicated than that, but we'll just keep it simple for there. And if you go back to my history, you'll see that I actually bought this, or sold this option for 60 cents. There's $1 commission. So I made $59 in premiums just for doing this. Okay, that's money that stays in my brokerage account. I can do whatever I want with it. I ended up buying a share of SPHD and a share of KBWI with these proceeds. Okay. So when is it good to possibly do these? I would recommend the following. Make a sell option at least 10% higher than the current price and receive at least 1% premium. So again, sell 10% higher than the current stock price, receive at least a 1% premium for maybe 1 or 2 months out. So some examples of that. Let's say a stock is at $60. You want to sell a call option 10% higher than the current premium. So in this case, times divided by 0.1, $6 more. You'd want to sell an option for $66, or at least really close to that. So that means that If the stock goes higher than the 66, you would have received 10% gain on that stock anyway. Okay. Now, you would want to receive at least a 1% premium, meaning for a $60 share price, you want to sell an option at 0.6, because 0.6 times the 100 shares ends up being $60. As you can see with Realty Income, that's exactly what I did. For Realty Income, 60, so the share price was pretty much at 60 at that point. I sold the option for $70. It's actually higher than 10%, so it's a pretty safe trade. You go 70 minus 60, it's $10 difference. Divide by the 60, and we're at a 16% higher than current price. So if Realty actually goes up beyond 70, I make 16% on my money, plus the premium that was about 1%, because I sold and I got $59 out of it. $59 divided by the current price of about 61, we're looking at almost 1% there. Okay. And 1 or 2 months out. If it's not possible 1 month out, these numbers may not be quite as good 1 month out. You might have to be willing to wait to 2 months because the options are worth more with more time periods. Okay, so this is a very conservative, pretty straightforward strategy here to try to bump up your returns and your premiums. Again, you could reinvest that into more shares of the company if you want to own more shares, or you could buy other options. I would only do this with stocks that you're willing to sell, at least if you're selling it at a pretty high price. If you really like the company and you don't want to sell the company, I wouldn't really recommend doing this, or I would go even higher than 10%, because then it's very unlikely that the stock will go up more than that in 1 or 2 months, although it is possible. It's pretty unlikely. Obviously, if you sell the option pretty close to the current price, as we saw before, your premiums will be higher. So that's another option to consider. If you have other opportunities, let's say that you are interested in a certain company, but you're not willing to actually buy it yet, and you have a certain company that you might be willing to sell it, look at the selling call options on it to get that premium, and then you could initiate a position into the other company that you're thinking of. Let's say Realty does go up past 70 and it goes to 120 or something, and I think it might be overvalued at that point. Then I'll take the 70 times 100 shares of $7,000, and I have a few other options of what I want to put that money in. So definitely have a backup plan when you're doing this. If there's any questions or thoughts, or if you'd like me to go into more detail on that, please let me know, and I'll see you guys next time.